Yo, what is going on everybody? This is KTT and welcome to my first Pokemon challenge run on the channel. Today I'll be playing Pokemon Infinite Fusion Randomizer on normal difficulty with random items. The rules: I can only catch the first Pokemon in every route. Any Pokemon that faints in battle is boxed. I am though allowed to use Wonder Trade tickets that I get after beating the gym leaders to diversify my team just a little bit more. Make it a little bit more fun and interesting. Before we get into the video, if you enjoy, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment with more challenge runs I should do in the comment below. To kick things off, I started out by randomizing this Pokemon Infinite Fusion game file, and normally I like to enter my name as CK, one of my good friends, just because it's funny, but I decided to go with the channel name KTT instead. And for the rival, instead of the blue, which it automatically fills in, I decided to put the name Dirty, because he's dirty. And for the three starters I get to choose from, there was that little Jigglypuff fusion, Cubone Ghastly fusion, and Geodude Onyx fusion. I decided to go with little Ghastly Cubone fusion, Gasbone, and I named him Buddy. After that, my rival Dirty decided he wanted to 1v1 me, so decided to take him on. And you could probably guess how this went. I mopped the floor with him with ease. Not really, but hypnosis him, and I slowly but surely licked him down. Which sounds a little off, but you know what? It works. Even got the paralyze off from the lick. I don't even think he actually had a move that could attack me, fun enough, so it was just me attacking him until eventually I won. After that, I went and I bought a bunch of Pokeballs, and I got my first Pokemon of the game outside of my starter, Jumpbro, which is, I believe, a Jumpluff and a Slowbro. And this is what Buddy, his stats. This is also what the Jumpbro looked like, which is kind of cool fusion, but it's Jumpluff, it's nothing crazy. And I get my first actual encounter, which was a Spheal Pikachu, which, I just hypnosis, get him to sleep, throw some Pokeballs at him, and first try him with these. After that, I go to take on Brock, and I have a couple new Pokemon I didn't really show off, like Ladoof. First Pokemon for Lava was Ease with my Lick, since he's a Psychic type. I have the super effective on him. And then he sends out Jigglybro, and I just keep trying to hypnosis him. Eventually I start using headbutts on him. I really don't do much damage. Use some Bone Club. Try to hypnosis him, get him to sleep. And I just keep spamming attacks onto him until eventually I hit 1 HP. I get really lucky and somehow survive, so I swap out to Lardoof. And eventually Lardoof will be able to take this out with just a couple rollouts, a little bit of luck. And just like that, we beat Brock and got the first gym badge. Right after that, we went to go through Mount Moon. Brock shows up to give us a little assistance here. We go in, we find Team Rocket up to no good. We chase him down, but eventually we find them trying to triple fuse a Rattata, Ekans, and Sandshrew. And eventually we have to take down this guy who has a Yanro, Spearow, and a Yanma. And with ease, we just swap to an electric type, even though we're 3 levels under, and we just easily take him out with Thundershock, because we got the paralyze really. And we also got the miss for the Fury attack, so honestly we probably could have lost that fight if I didn't play smarter, but I got a little bit lucky. They try to go through with the fusion anyways, and nothing happened, because of Team Rocket, and they suck. This Fossil Maniac guy decides to let us grab one of the 2 fossils there, and of course, it's over the Dome Fossil, you gotta go for Lord Helix Fossil, which actually just turned out to be a Prismarine scale. We then travel up the Nugget Bridge, and our rival Dirty actually stops us on our journey up, and starts up the battle with a Drowsy, and a Krabby. And we start out with our Pikachu Seal, which we had eventually swap out for our Kabuto Nidoran, or Nidorina I believe actually. We get a good Mud Shot off on the Drowsy, Then we use a double kick on him. but he uses a super potion. He's paralyzed, luckily, taking a little bit extra tick damage from poison also at the same time. And we just keep spamming mud shot, and eventually, due to the poison and the mud shots, he eventually goes down. We then swap out to Buddy, our Cubone Ghastly combo, to go up against his starter, his Onyx / Geodude, now Graveler. And we just start throwing a bunch of bone clubs at him, which is super effective. I thought it would do more damage, but eventually we take him out and gain a level. And then he swaps out to his Slugma Shinx / Luxio, which we just one-shot with a, I believe, 4 times effective move. Then he swaps out to Marie Gibble, and we just 2-shot him with Bone Club with ease and take down our rival. After that, we go find Bill in his laboratory doing some who knows what, and manages to transform himself into a Rhydon. I don't know how he managed to do that, but he needs our help. So we go over to the machine. We try to leave him first, actually, but we go over to the machine and we free him, and he gives us the SS Ann ticket. After that, we decide to go and take on Misty for our second gym battle. We go in with Chinbro, the Chinchou Slowbro, and Buddy, because why not? We love him. She leads with Sand, that's a Meowth and a Sandslash, and we easily take him out. Next he has a Pyukumuku and a Sandshrew, and weird enough, he doesn't actually have any attacking moves, so I just spam same move over and over again. And eventually we just freely take him out with no casualties. So far we've been having a pretty good run. No casualties in the first gym, none in the rivals, and none in the second gym. We then meet up with our rival, who's for some reason speaking French, on the SS Ann, Dirty, once again. And he starts off with a Pinefee, which is a Pineco and Flaffy, and we just start throwing some mud shots at him, doing a little bit of damage, doing a little bit more, but eventually he hits us with a Bide, which completely one-shots us. It's a devastating loss. That was one of our stronger mons at this point that I was going to use for the next gym, but you got to keep pushing forwards. Luckily we got the poison off on him from our ability, and we swap over to the Pikachu Seal combo and eventually take him out. Next he sends in Janair, which is a Gibble and Dragonair. We swap to Chinbro real quickly, to hopefully be able to take him out with ease, not losing another team member. But he does a lot of damage in return. So we try to swap out, but sadly we can't. And he Dragon Rages and guarantees me another loss to the team. We then swap back into Pikaseal and luckily take him out. It looked like I was actually going to lose another team member, but luckily I didn't this time. He then sends in Steeler, which we send in Buddy for, and Buddy's able to take him out. Next he sends in Wigglypet, which is a Shuppet and I believe a Wigglytuff. He gets a good Nightshade off onto us, does a lot of damage. Swap out to our Ekans Nidorina, get a bunch of good attacks in before we eventually use Crunch and almost one-shot him for a win against our rival. Sadly, we lost 2 in the process. Eventually we make it through the SS Ann and find the worst ever created invention in Pokemon. These stupid trash cans. Very easy to find the first one, but for some reason every time I go click on the second one, it's never the one I click on. I literally sat here for I think actually 20 minutes in speed up just trying to complete this puzzle, and it took me that long just to do a puzzle. Not even the battle part. The battle probably took less than 5 minutes to do. Eventually we find both of the buttons, one after the other, somehow. And we take on Lieutenant Surge. He leads with Mepass, which is a Nose Pass and a Machoke. And we lead with our Shinx Slowpoke combo that we recently just got in the route before this. We throw a couple confusions his way, He throws a couple rock slides our way, and eventually he does end up knocking us out with a knockoff, sadly. But then we swap into Buddy, who uses a bone meringue real quickly to take him out. Goes into his Hitmonoir, which is a Hitmonchan Dusknoir. I get a good Shadow Punch on it. He uses Will-O-Wisp to burn me. Then he swaps into his Pilkey, which now is super effective to me if he has a water type move. So I swap out to an electric ground type who is Levitate. And I one-shot him with my electric move. Then he swaps back into Hitmonoir. I use a Magnitude, get a Magnitude 6. Then I use Spark. And I use another Magnitude, get a Magnitude 5, sadly. Burn, down to 2 HP, so I decide to swap back in to Buddy. Use a Shadow Punch. He uses Pursuit. I almost die, I'm at 9 HP. I take the risk. One more Shadow Punch. Should get the third badge. Digton also evolves in the process into Dugton, which is a pretty cool looking fusion. After that, we go to Lavender Town, to the Pokemon Tower, and find our rival there. So once again we take on Dirty. This time he starts with a Mission, which is a really cool looking fusion. It's a Vaporeon and a Mischievous. We start with our Basaur, throw a couple magical leaves. He uses a Hex, we get a poison off at first. He just keeps spamming magical leaf, he keeps spamming super potions like a wimp. And eventually we take him out. Pretty easy. We then swap into our Duskchoke when he swaps into a Stealer. We use a Revenge, and we get a full-blown one-shot with ease, taking him out, only losing 8 HP in the process. We swap into our Raichu Seal. He swaps into his Roth, which is another very cool fusion. Rotom, who always has cool fusions. Pretty much all of his are very cool custom fusions. We actually swap into Arena. We get a good crunch on him. Most of his HP. Second crunch. Easily take him out. We then swap back into Buddy as he goes into Lucanine, Lucario Arcanine, and we easily one-shot him with a Bone Meringue, defeating our rival once again. We go back to Cerulean City, and we find our rival fighting up against these Team Rocket grunts. He pushes them back, and eventually Erica shows up, and we end up going through the whole sewer tunnel with Eric. We end up finding Giovanni at the end of this, and I take him on. Start out with Arena. He starts out with his Chansey Kakuna, and I just start trying to throw some poison stings, acids, trying to get some type of poison going on him before I eventually just start throwing crunches his way. And he uses a Max Restore like a little wimp. Keeps spamming Takedown, and eventually, sadly, takes me out. So I swap into our Duskchoke. I try to use a Revenge on him, but he just keeps trying to put me to sleep. Eventually, he swaps out to Galep, which I'm still asleep, stuck, and he gets a good hit on me. Then I get an attack after waking up, then he gets another good hit on me, and eventually he takes me out at 1 HP, sadly. So we swap into Buddy, who Shadow Punches and takes him out. We swap into Basaur, and he swaps into his Bastaflame, which is another cool looking fusion Pokemon, which we just slowly poison, throw some attacks at, do as much damage as we can before we swap into our Raichu Seal, and eventually get taken out, but he also gets taken out in the process for a 2-for-1. So we lose 3 Pokemon in one fight against Giovanni. If anything, he's more of a rival than our actual rival is. He's done more than our actual rival has. And we just finish off his last Pokemon with a real quick Bone Meringue from Buddy. Erica thanks us, tells us to go get the Silph Scope, and that she's going to be waiting at her gym for us to come battle her. Grab the Silph Scope off the table. We learn about how Team Rocket is trying to fuse all 3 legendary birds together, which you'll see later on that they do attempt to do. And we Wonder Trade those dead Pokemon I just basically did that so that way I didn't have to worry about leveling up again. So it's as if I Wonder Traded for other Pokemon. I just kind of swapped them out. This will be the new team. Basically a quick overview of all the new mons that we got from Wonder Trading and either grinding up, that we all got up to towards level 35-ish to go take on Erica. She starts out with an Esther, I start out with this. He hits me with a big Shadow Ball, and I get a one-shot crunch on him, doing way too much damage. Erica then goes into a King Tum, a Rotom, I believe Kling Clang, and I get a big crunch on him, but I have to swap out because I get very low. Swap into Buddy. I actually get one shot with, which is very sad. That's my starter. I'm very upset about that one. But I end up taking him out. Erica goes into a ducking. Erica goes into a Duskull slacking, which I then slowly chip away with Rock Slides till I eventually beat Erica, but at a major loss. I then mourn my losses for my lost starter in the Pokemon Tower while I get the Pokeflute, and I go wake up Snorlax with the Pokeflute. For the Snorlax to end up being a Houndoom Golem, which looks really awesome. I'm excited to catch him. So I swap out, try and do a little bit of damage to him before with a Dragon Rage, so I know, and he self-destructs. Luckily I live with 6 HP, so I don't lose a Mon, and lose the encounter, but sadly, I'm not going to be able to get that encounter. After that, we go take on Koga, the 5th gym leader. He starts out with a Houndape. I get a very bad start, because it's a grass type, so I don't want to get instantly murdered. So I swap into Dugton, which I go to use Dig with, and sadly I get burnt, take a lot of damage, and eventually killed. So I swap into this, get a one-shot Aqua Tail, which I then swap into my Venoron, which is what his actual name is, to try and do some damage with Aerial Ace to the Bayleaf Dino, which he then swaps into a different Mon, and then instantly swaps out again to a Spiritomb, a Spiritomb Torterra, which I try to chip away, do some damage, because I don't worry too much, because I don't think he's going to have anything that's going to do too much damage that will be able to kill me. So I slowly chip at him, because he's part ground, I believe. And slowly but surely, he swaps into a different Mon, I take him out, I end up swapping into this, to take out the Weavile, take out Weasel, the Sneasel Weavile. I get a good one hit on him. He's dead. I swap back out for the Spiritomb. I get unlucky, can't go first, and I sadly get taken out. I then swap back into this. Live at 3 HP. Barely don't kill him. So then I have to swap back out to the only Mon that has health left. And I take him out. I then take on the Fighting Dojo, and I have to decide between a Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, or Hitmontop. And the one I ended up taking was the Hitmonchan, which actually ended up being a Cubone Kyurem, which you'll see in this next clip when I take on my rival in the Saffron City Team Rocket hideout. I start with Stygion, which is a Steelix Hydreigon, which I got for free. And I take out his Mon. Then I swap into that Kyurem Mon that I was telling you about for his Stealer, which I almost one-shot. He does a little bit to me. I thought I was going to be able to do enough damage with it, somehow it didn't, and then I end up taking him out afterwards. He swaps out to his Manphion. I swap out to this. I realize it's not the best move for me to be in there, so I swap out to my Electrode Gengar, use a quick Shadow Ball, don't do too much, lose over half my HP, and instantly realize I need to get out of there. So I swap into Quagnium, try and use an Earthquake, don't do almost any damage, so I just decide trying to poison him, ends up poisoning, I can't even poison him. So I just throw a quick Razor Leaf, do a little bit of damage, and swap out to the Golem. He doesn't do very much damage, since he's not actually a water type, he's Ghost Poison. So I just throw a quick Poison Jab at him, I throw another one. I easily take him out, leveling up in the process. He swaps into his Kling Clang / Volcarona, and I swap into this. After a little bit of back and forth, he whirlwinds me, kicks me out of there, which is perfect because then I can just use Brine and easily take him out. He goes into Bulbatongue, which I'm not too worried about, but I still decide to swap out anyways. Since I have a full HP Steelix Hydreigon, I use Dragon Pulse, do a good chunk of damage, use it again. Seed Bombs does nothing, and I take out the Bulbatongue with ease. This is probably the easiest one so far, and I defeat Dirty. We go to try and stop Team Rocket and see if Giovanni there once again. He's angry once again at us, so we have a double battle with our rival to try and take him down one more time. I start with a Rock Slide. It hits both of them. I use Rock Slide once again. Thankfully they're attacking my rival, not me, so my rival's taking a lot of damage. I'm getting lucky. I just keep throwing Rock Slides. And eventually we take out the Aerodactyl Seal. I try to Rock Slide again, but sadly I get taken out. And I lose yet another Mon. So I swap out into my Kyurem Cubone, now Marowak. I use Thunder Punch, thinking like as if it's going to be a water type, and literally did no damage. I just keep using Thunder Punch. They keep attacking my rival, taking him out. We can't do anything. And now, this is where it gets scary. It's a Regigigas / Shedinja. If I don't have anything that's super effective, if I can't figure out what the typing is, I am completely screwed for this fight, and I could easily wipe right here. I start swapping to different Mons, trying to find what could possibly be super effective. In my mind, I'm thinking possibly normal, but I don't have any fighting moves at this time, which is the big issue. Or it could be Bug, since he's part Bug, or it could be Ghost, because he's part Ghost, normally. So I'm just trying to theory craft here and figure out a way. Take this first guy out, the Umbreon Whalmer. But luckily I do have a move that is super effective, Crunch, so I'm able to defeat Giovanni, me, and Dirty. I'll give Dirty some credit for this one. We stop Giovanni, and then right after that I decide to go take on Sabrina. Sabrina starts out with a Kabuto / Seadra, which, may I say, that is quite a scary mon to go against, but it also looks very cool. I start out with my Marowak Kyurem. I just slowly use some different of my punch moves that I have, try and knock him out. He decides to leave the battle when he hits red, swaps into a Giratina / Chinchou. I try to use Stomping Tantrum, do some damage. I just try to use my different moves, see what will do the most damage. I do a good amount, and I end up actually taking him out, luckily. Sabrina swaps back into previous Mon, and sadly takes me out. That one's a big hit, just because it's a legendary, and that's legendary stats that I just lost right there. I swap into my Electro Gengar, use a quick electric move, knock him out. I then swap into this. She swaps into the Dragaflora. Dragaflora does a good amount of damage. I slowly chip away at it with Dragon Pulse, and I eventually knock him out. I then see that she's using the exact same Pokemon as me, so I decide to try and stay in and take him out, not realizing he was going to do that much damage. Sadly takes out this. Definitely an avoidable death, but one that I sadly took. Once again, got knocked out again. I probably could have avoided that if I just went straight into the Electro Gengar right away, Electrigar. Eventually, I'm able to just Shadow Ball, burn him down, take out Sabrina for my 6th gym badge. After defeating Sabrina, I decide to Wonder Trade, get a couple new Mons for the team, since we're looking a little bad after losing 3 of our top 6 Mon. After getting our team ready, we decide to take on Blaine. He starts with a Licky Bach. We start out with Heart, a Ampharos Venomoth, who, may I say, is very powerful at this point, very strong special attacker. We start with a Discharge, get a Lucky Paralyze. Just keep throwing discharges. He doesn't get any attacks off before we end up killing him. We swap into Electrigar, not realizing what Mon he just threw in, and He ends up putting me to 1 HP, getting very lucky, somehow surviving that. So I swap into Foxy, because this is a Flareon. I didn't realize it was a Flareon. Realizing it's a Flareon, so I just try to use Surf. Almost kill him, he swaps out. He ends up getting lucky. Put to 1 HP. He gets the substitute off. Put to 1 HP again. So I decide to just try to attack, hope I can go first, and I get taken out. So I swap into Shrooms. I go to use Dig. Puts him to 1 HP. Luckily I get to go again first. Take him out with ease. Then he goes into the Flareon Girafarig and ends up knocking me out in one hit because I'm part steel, and I completely forgot about that. After that, we end up taking him out, swapping into Heart, and we end up taking his last Pokemon out, defeating Blaine, and getting us our 7th gym badge. After that, we decide to fuse together 2 Mons, which you'll probably see for the rest of the run, hopefully. A Xatu, and a Cubone, which ends up turning into a Marowak. After that, we find Team Rocket once again, this time at Mount Ember. We decide to try and stop their master plan of fusing all 3 of the legendary birds together, which they already managed to do, and Giovanni caught it with the Master Ball, which is why now we have to take on all 3 birds at once. This is one of the harder battles in a Nuzlocke, because you have to take 3 Pokemon on at once, and they all get to attack you per turn. So I just try to use as many AoE multi-hitting moves as I can. So that's why I use Discharge on both of these guys. Do as much as I could, and then I end up swapping into another Mon that'll be able to hit another AoE move. Do as much damage as I can. I get lucky, I'm able to take out 2 of them, and I'm only left with 1. Use Poison, do as much as I can, hopefully kill him here. Not able to do enough, and he is just able to kill me. So I have to swap into my Morotu now, who ends up taking him out, but not without a little bit of a fight first. We end up stopping Giovanni. He lets all 3 birds go. They all break free. Moltres ends up staying, but Team Rocket decided to disperse after that. Embarrassing defeat to me. The birds are all calmed down. Moltres is back to where he rightfully belongs. I then decide to try and go actually catch this Moltres, see what it's going to be. I encounter it, and it's a Blissey Shuffle. Not really what I was hoping for. I was hoping for more like a legendary maybe, something really cool, but, you know, a new Mon's a new Mon, so I still catch it anyway. I wanted to trade a couple new Mons for the 3 that we lost during our battle with the Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos trio, and I prepare for the 8th gym leader. As we go up against the 8th gym leader, we find out that it's just actually Giovanni. So this should hopefully be our final match with Giovanni. Hopefully we can manage to eke out 1 more win against him. He starts out with a Dusknoir slash Charizard. I start out with my Slackoth slash Ninetales, which, may I say, is not the prettiest fusion, but it gets the job done. It takes out his Mon. I then swap into Floyd, who, may I say, is going to be very helpful for the Elite Four coming up. I just keep spamming a couple attacks. He keeps swapping out. All of his Mons just keep going all over the place. I can't even keep track of it at this point. He keeps using full restores like a wimp. I eventually take out his Victory Bell slash Aegis Slash. He then sends in Waste Slash. Again, I get him to 1 HP. I get down super low, so I get worried, so I decide to swap out to Luke, which is a Beedrill slash Bastiodon. I take him out. I then send out Diddy, who is a Weezing slash Wigglypuff. And look who it is, back from the dead on Giovanni's team to haunt me. My one and only buddy. The one I'm doing the rest of this run for. We do some good damage to him. He ends up swapping out to a Golurk Aggron. Do some more good damage to him. He ends up swapping back into him for some reason at 1 HP. Just instantly gets him killed. Second time he had to die in this run already. Swaps back out to Agler. He uses an Earthquake. One hits me. I send in Morotu, the Shadow Ball on him, and that Shadow Ball is able to completely take him out, defeating Giovanni, giving us the 8th and final gym badge of this region. I then go on to take on my rival for the hopefully final time. Wink wink. He starts out with a Persian Magnezone, so I decide to swap out into Floyd, who can Fire Punch him, since he's part Steel type, should be doing a good amount of damage. And I eventually take him out, but not before getting paralyzed and losing about half my HP. He sends in a Kadabra / Aggron, which is very interesting. Surprised it's not Alakazam, but I easily take him out with a couple Shadow Balls, not even taking any damage. I send out Diddy. He sends out Gallade / Flygon. I debate, but I end up just using Blizzard. I get lucky, hit him. He doesn't use very good moves, and I just use a Play Rough and take him out. I then send back in Morotu. He sends in a starter, Steeler. I hit him with a Blizzard, doesn't do very much, so I swap out to Luke. He hits me with a Sandstorm. I use a Dig. Since I know it's going to be super effective. I hit him with another Dig, and I take him out pretty easily. I send back in Morotu. He sends in Across. I hit him with a Psychic, couple hits, and I take him down, losing a little bit less than half HP. I send back in Luke once again for his Genesect Jumpluff, which I Aerial Ace since I know he's part Grass, but apparently it doesn't do very much. I then use Poison Jab, get the poison off on him, Aerial Ace him again, poison hits him, almost kills him, puts him to 1 HP, and then I quickly just take him out to finally not lose him on in one of these big battles towards the end of the game. After that, my Dragonair evolves into a Dragonite. On my way through Victory Road, I end up finding an Entei, weirdly enough, static encounter, which turned into a Jinx Palkia. I didn't end up using it, I just thought it was pretty cool, so I thought I'd throw it in the video as well. So this is the final team. We got Diddy, who has Dig, Play Rough, Sludge Bomb, Blizzard, no item. We got our Dragonite here. We got Surf, Blizzard, Transform, Dragon Tail, no item. Morotu with a Bright Powder, Shadow Ball, Blizzard, Psychic, Fly. We've got Nocturne. We've got Signal Beam, Dragon Breath, Discharge, Earth Power, and Luke. With Aerial Ace, Dig, Poison Jab, and Heavy Slam. And then we got Floyd with Fire Punch, Crunch, Shadow Punch, and Brick Break. We head in to take on Lorelei. She starts with Magnetress. We start out with Floyd. We get a good Fire Punch off. She full restores. We get another good Fire Punch. This time we get the burn. Takes him to 1 HP. He full restores again. God, I hate full restores. We end up eventually taking him out. And we swap into Nocturne. He uses a Discharge, which does half his HP. We survive both those hits. Use another Discharge, and take him out. We swap into Floyd against this Bisharp / Shuckle, who we just spam Fire Punch on. Take him out. And funny enough, Lorelei actually has 2, so we just do the same thing. We get a little bit lucky this time, since he didn't do nowhere near as much damage as the last time. Otherwise, we would have been dead. And Lorelei sends in her last Mon. And we just do the exact same thing. Another Fire Punch spam. And we take him out with basically almost sweeping with just Floyd himself. We then go into Bruno. Bruno starts with a Haxorus Gyarados, which is a very scary Mon. We send out Nocturne. He uses Hurricane. Sadly gets the Confusion, which sucks for us. Hurricanes again. We use Discharge, realizing it did almost nothing, thinking it was going to do a lot more. He's got Rain Dance on now. Uses a full restore. It's full HP. We're confused. It's not looking very good. We get lucky to barely be able to get that attack off and not get confused, otherwise we would have died. Being at 9 HP, we decided to swap into Morotu. He swaps in Salatar. We get a lucky hit from Blizzard. He ends up going into Cotton Gone. We end up getting another one-shot Blizzard, 2 back-to-back. He goes into Raygon, and you're not going to believe it. 3rd Blizzard hit in a row. He full restores. We did not hit the Blizzard this time, and then we go for it again, and we hit the Blizzard. For a one-shot this time. I don't know why I didn't one-hit the first time, but a one-shot the second time. But we'll take it. He then goes into Scar Knight. We use Brick Break. He swaps back into his Gyarados Haxorus. We Brick Break him, do almost nothing, so we decide to swap back into the Dragonite. We go for a Dragon Tail. We end up knocking him out. He goes back into Scar Knight. Ends up using Dragon Rush. Luckily hits it and takes me out. We go into Floyd, which we Brick Break and take him out with only 1 casualty. We then go and take on Agatha, who starts out with Mr. Sir, a pincer / Mr. Mime, which is very scary looking. So we just spam a couple crunches. We just keep spamming crunches. He full heals. Keeps Destiny Bonding. Puts him to 1 HP. We get lucky we didn't kill there. So we just swapped out. Keeps Destiny Bonding again. So we decided to swap out again. He Destiny Bonds again. So we swap out again. And we just keep going until eventually she runs out of Destiny Bonds. Once this Ledzing used Air Slash, we were just easily able to quickly take him out. Sadly, we lost half our HP in the process. Agatha then sends out Beezard. We send out Nocturne. We do some good damage, Dragon Breath, eventually take him out. Get very low, so we know we're going to have to swap out. We go back into Floyd. Floyd then just fire punches this Paraseer. Fire punches again, takes him out. We stay in with Floyd against this Heracross Scyther. I contemplate what to do here. I contemplate swapping out. And eventually I just go for Crunch. I flinch. He Sword Stance. I Brick Break. Doesn't do very much, so I Shadow Punch. Does a good amount. Air Slashes. I Shadow Punch again. Another Air Slash. Another Air Slash, but I missed the first one. And I eventually take him out. Now onto his last Mon, Mr. Sir, and we quickly take him out and defeat Agatha. I end up taking Lance on the next day. Sadly, if you notice, Dragonite's back alive. I completely forgot that he died in the last fight, so I ended up just using him for this fight and the next one for the rest of the game, even though he should have been dead. But I basically just threw Nocturne out anyway, so let's just call it even. My one hiccup, my one freebie of the video, since I'm not very good at this whole Nuzlocke thing. Trying my best here. I try to use Brick Break. I crunch with Floyd. Crunch again. Get him very low in the red, and I take him out. Now this is one that I was scared about, because it's a Kyogre / Sneasel. Sneasel's not the strongest, but he's very fast, and Kyogre is the one I'm worried about. I get a lucky burn, because I thought I'd be able to kill him with fire, since I thought he was part ice, but for all I know, he might be just dark. I end up making it to just 1 HP, barely surviving. Thankfully, if I didn't, I think I just would be screwed for the rest of this. I needed Floyd for the next battle. I end up swapping to the dead Dragonite that I shouldn't be using. I end up swapping out into Diddy. I use Dig. Swaps into Palinx. I decide to use Play Rough. Hit him. I Play Rough again. This time I missed. With a 10% chance of missing. I get paralyzed, and then luckily I end up hitting him, taking him out, while paralyzed at 7 HP. So I swap into Luke. Use Dig. Do a little chunk of damage, and I just spam Dig again. He ends up swapping into Vapordos, Vaporeon Gyarados. I do a little bit of damage to him. I decided to start spamming random moves, see what I can do, try and poison him. I get a poison jab off, another poison jab off, no lucky poison. One more, and this time I get the poison on him. So I decide I could just swap out now. I go back to the Dragonite. Poison does his little thing. Hurricane does a good amount of damage, and I end up taking him out with Dragon Tail. Lance then swaps in Star, the Suicune / Omastar. So I decide to swap out into Maroto. I then swap back into Luke, realizing I can try and poison him and do the same thing I did to the last mon. He ends up just using a bunch of random moves, weird moves, and I just start spamming that, and eventually I get the poison off, luckily. So I just decide to use Dig, go underground, waste a turn, knock him out, get him to 1 HP, poison, and he goes down. I end up defeating Lance, 4th and final Elite Four member, before I take on the champion. I gotta go face the champion. Turns out it's actually just my rival 30. Somehow he made it here. He starts with Jinwile, so I decided to start throwing different moves at him, see what I can do. Shadow Punch. I Shadow Punch again, get him very low. Use a Play Rough, does a good amount to me, and I end up taking him out with a Shadow Punch. I send in Diddy, while 30 ends up sending in Magzing, doing a lot of damage to me, and eventually knocking me out after I do a good amount. I end up swapping the Dragonite, he uses a full heal, I get a good Surf off. He ends up burning me, does a little bit. I end up knocking him out with a second Surf. Then I swap into Marotu. He swaps in, or he goes into his Wigglyrill, Wigglytuff Azumarill. So I fly on him, get a little bit, he uses a superpower, lowers his defense, full restores, I fly again. He full restores again, I fly again. He rain dances, thankfully. I fly again. Do a good amount, fly again. Get him into red this time, and hopefully one more fly will take him out. I stay in, and he ends up going for a starter. The Golem / Steelix now. What started as a Geodude / Onyx is now a Golem Steelix. I then decided to swap into the Dragonite. That's kind of like my gimme. I just used him as fodder to swap into Luke for free. I use Dig, knowing it's going to be super effective, do a good little bit. Luckily he used Sandstorm and not a normal attack. He then swaps out into like Electachan. Dig does a good amount. So I dig again, do a good amount. I dig again. Luckily he's using Focus Energy and he's not using any attacks, so I end up taking him out, losing no HP. He swaps into Hitmonchan / Dusknoir, just like what Lieutenant Surge has. So I decide to swap into Marotu, spam Shadow Ball. Luckily he's not even hitting me at all, so I'm able to just easily take him out without losing any HP. I then swap back into Luke, knowing he swaps into a Steel Up again. I dig, he double edges, does a little bit to himself, I dig, and I end up being able to just take him out with the final dig with Luke. And just like that, we defeated Dirty, champion, Pokémon Infinite Fusion. Professor Oak comes to congratulate us and induct us into the Hall of Fame. If you made it this far into my very first video on the channel, I want to say thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed. I will hopefully see you in the next one. Thank you.